Welcome everyone to my new series on the channel where I'm going to be reviewing some of the worst movies ever made but are so bad, so broken, that they are amazing. I'm going to be doing this as a series lead up to my review on The Disaster Artist, which releases in December this year, which is a film based on the making of what is considered to be one of the worst movies ever made, called The Room. And don't worry, I will be reviewing The Room in this series, and I will definitely be doing a review of The Disaster Artist when it releases. But we have to kick this series off from somewhere, so I thought, let's start it with a bang, and let's watch the infamous 1991 police cop drama that is clearly a Lethal Weapon ripoff, Samurai Cop. Let's get into this. So Samurai Cop, like I said, released in 1991, but it actually was filming in 1989. But this film essentially had extensive reshoots the year after, which essentially delayed the film's release. The production of this movie was pretty much screwed. It was made on almost no budget at all, to the point where the whole film had to be shot in daylight. I am not kidding. If you research the making of this movie, the movie was so low on budget that the director couldn't afford lighting for nighttime scenes. So all the scenes in this film take place during the daytime. It's like the sun never sets in this place. I tell you, this must take place in a different universe. It must do. Because, I'm sorry, but the lack of moonlight it's honestly kind of weird. Also, the main actor actually shaved his head halfway through the production of this film. Essentially, he thought the shooting was completely finished, so he shaved his head. But then the director called him back for reshoots, but because his hair was so short, they had to buy him a female's wig. You couldn't make this stuff up about the production of this film. Oh my god, this movie is just so bad. And legend also has it that this movie only used the first take and one take of every scene. And this was like an urban legend that went around the cinema, fan base, until Mark Hannon, the actor who plays Samurai Cop in the film, confirmed in an interview, I think it was like in 2015 with Red Letter Media, that yes, they did use the first take of every single scene in the film. And this is evident by the fact that many actors fluff up their lines in the film and the overuse of dubbing in the film. Even some by the director himself. I am not joking, there are lines in this film where the director dubs over the other actor's voice. And it's so noticeable, it's like listening to a robot.
In no way we go under Fujiyama's flag.
You did it!
The job's done. Excuse me. Where did the tall guy with the ponytail go?
Can I help you?
Well, just a little business with him.
The plot of this movie revolves around a Japanese gang known as the Katana Gang, who are trying to distribute cocaine throughout the whole of Los Angeles. So a police officer from San Diego is brought in, called Joe Marshall, who also goes by the name of Samurai Cop, because he apparently has been trained by the masters in Japan, even though his fighting skills in this film are shit, and he speaks fluent Japanese, despite the fact that he can't pronounce most Japanese names in this film right.
They call him Samurai. He speaks fluent Japanese.
Are you Fujiyama?
What does katana mean?
It means Japanese sword.
So he's brought in to try and stop these busts from happening and try to limit the Katana Gang and apprehend all of them. Accompanying him on this quest for this is Frank Washington, who clearly isn't trying to imitate Danny Glover's character from Lethal Weapon. Clearly isn't. There's clearly no similarities between these two characters. It's like this director watched Lethal Weapon and thought, you know what? I can do that. But worse than every single... And that is basically the plot of the movie. They try and bring down these samurai. They try and bring down this Japanese gang. That's literally the plot of the movie. It's so thin, and there's barely anything added to it. It's literally just an excuse for crazy shit to happen on the screen. And there are so many crazy scenes in this film that I don't think I can even mention them all in this review, or else I'll be here for like an hour explaining the whole movie to you. But I'm going to go through the movie. I'm going to pick out some of my favorite scenes in the film. So we're going to start off with the opening credits, And when I first watched this movie, I was convinced I was watching a load-up screen for a Sega Genesis game. I mean, take a listen to this. We then abruptly cut to the opening of this movie where the Katana Gang is meeting outside of a tennis court, where there are people playing in the background. I'm not joking. And if you think that cut was abrupt, get used to it. It happens all of the time in this film. There are so many abrupt cuts in this film that honestly sometimes it will make your eyes bleed. And what I love about this as well is one of the members of the Katana Gang is wearing shades. And if you look closely into the reflection, you can see the whole production crew. But of course, because this film was filmed on just the first and only take, they just left it in there. They just thought, nah, no one's going to spot that. No one's going to notice that. It's a shame I have a pair of eyes. After this completely useless and boring conversation, we finally cut to our main two protagonists of the film, Frank Washington and Joe Marshall. And clearly in this shot, he's wearing a wig. And if you're thinking, oh shit, is that wig actually going to be in this movie? Yes, for half of the film and quite a lot of the fight scenes. So shortly after this, Frank and Joe try to stop a drug deal going on in Los Angeles. And for some reason, Samurai Cop is having the most cringiest and cheesiest banter with a girl in a helicopter I've ever seen in a film. Honestly, at times, it does feel like you are watching a porno. I am not joking.
Okay, Joe, keep it up.
Oh, it's up and ready. You just keep it warm.
It's warm and ready.
So, of course, they stop the cartel. Well, not really, because the guys in the boat fucking make it away. And then film never explains what happened to them. It's like, what happened to all those drugs? Okay, I'm not supposed to care about that. I can't ask questions with this film. We then lead to a poorly produced car chase. And what I mean by this is you can clearly tell in the scene that it's been filmed in multiple locations on different days. And you can tell this by the sun's position and just the positioning of the camera in general. It's awfully choreographed. Like, just take a look at some of it for yourself. By far my favorite part of all this, though, is the scene where Samurai Cop is literally sitting in the car chasing after these dudes, and he just repeatedly shouts at Frank, shoot, shoot, shoot him. And then the best part is when Frank shoots the guy and Samurai Cop's literally just like, you got him.
Shoot! Shoot him! Shoot! Shoot him! Shoot! You got it.
Yeah, I got the best.
Oh my god. This film's amazing. And then all of a sudden the van goes on fire, and for some reason the driver changes ethnicity. Like, this is clearly not the same person who was driving the van. Like, I don't understand. How did he magically change his skin color? Please explain. Why is his hair changed? Oh my god. We then get to the infamous hospital scene, and oh, the hospital scene. The hospital scene is awful. It's truly the worst part of this movie. It contains easily one of the most awful pieces of dialogue between two characters I have ever seen in my lifetime. So they're trying to get the witness who was burned in the car crash earlier on in the film to talk and give them information about the Katana Gang, but it turns out that his lips are burnt and that he can't speak at the moment. But then for some reason the nurse feels compelled to try and hit it on with Samurai Cop, because apparently he's like this babe magnet. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, he has sex with the girl in the helicopter as well after they finish the drug bust. And the scene is like 2 minutes long. Yep, if you thought The Room was bad for elongated sex scenes, don't worry, Samurai Cop was released over a decade beforehand, and its sex scenes are just as bad. Like, it's horrible. It plays this really shitty 1990s music. When it gets to these scenes, you are literally watching softcore porn. I am not joking. Back onto the hospital scene. Yes, the nurse tries to hit it on with Samurai Cop, and we get this scene of dialogue right here. I'm just going to play it for you because it's so cringeworthy.
Do you like what you see?
I love what I see.
Would you like to touch what you see?
Yes, yes I would.
Would you like to go out with me?
Yes I would.
Would you like to fuck me?
Bingo.
Well, then let's see what you've got. Doesn't interest me. Nothing there.
Nothing there? Just exactly what would interest you? Something the size of a jumbo jet?
Have you been circumcised?
Yeah, I have. Why?
Well, your doctor must have cut a big portion of it off.
No, he was a good doctor.
Good doctors make mistakes, too. That's why they buy insurance.
Hey, don't worry. I got enough. It's big.
I want bigger.
Like, I just don't understand this scene. The funniest part was when I actually sent this scene to Robin Gaming in his Twitch live stream, and even he couldn't watch it because he was convinced I had sent him porn. I am not joking. You can watch it now.
Your stream?
Thanks, nurse.
No?
Yeah, I did. It
Oh,
crashed.
I see. I was wondering why
love what
my
I see.
stream uptime says
Would you
that
like to
it's
touch
been
what
live
you
like for
see?
53 minutes only.
Yes, yes I would.
Would you like to go out with me?
Oh man.
What are we watching?
yes,
This is
I
the type
would.
of shit that gets me banned
Would
on
you
Twitch.
like to fuck me?
Okay, yeah, we're definitely getting banned. I'm sorry, Mule Kick Media. We're definitely getting banned. So I'm skipping this.
That was D-pad.
What the fuck? Oh man. How is that video on YouTube?
Okay.
The scene is just awful. By the way, I'm sorry I had to make you watch that, Robin, but he really had to experience this scene in the film. So then the Katana gang secretly sneak into the room, and I'm just questioning how the fuck that guy was able to fit into that. Like, how did he get into that box? Clearly somebody must have saw them. Oh wait, I forgot, I'm not supposed to ask questions with this film. I'm just supposed to believe everything that I see. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to roll, people. That is how it's supposed to roll. Then the two of them are brought in for a lecture with their captain. He's the best police captain I have ever seen in a buddy cop movie because he comes out with some of the most random shit ever imaginable.
I feel like somebody stuck a big club up my ass, and it hurts. We've got to figure out a way to get it out of there.
He also messes up his lines in this film. I'm not joking. There's a scene where he's essentially having a massive rant at Samurai Cop, and he clearly fucks up his line in this scene.
You're the one that talked me into bringing this moron from San Diego to fight the Japanese Katana gang.
And then the ending to this scene is just even more weird, where for some reason Frank feels compelled to kiss the top of the captain's head. They both run off, and it's like the most elongated scene I have ever seen in my life. It's so awkward to watch.
God damn it, get the hell out of my office. Get out of here. I don't want to see your face. You son of a bitch! Come back here, you motherfucker!
Now, apparently, the reason it was like that is because the director was actually meant to go cut as after the captain says, "Get back here, you motherfucker." But for some reason, he didn't, and so the actor playing the captain had to essentially improvise on the spot. Oh my god, this movie. So then we cut to a scene where all of the Katana members are in a restaurant together, and Frank and Samurai Cop decide to go there and basically just reaffirm the law to them, and we get one of the best one-take insults I have ever seen on screen in my lifetime.
Now I'm telling these son of a bitches that we respect the Japanese of this country who are honest businessmen. And yeah, this is the land of opportunity for legitimate business, not for death merchants who distribute drugs to our children through schools and on the streets. Now I'm telling these motherfuckers that if they continue killing our children to make their precious millions that they deposit in their secret Swiss bank accounts, Counselor, before your lawsuit even gets off the court clerk's desk, I'll have their stinking bodies in garbage bags and ship them back to Japan for fertilizer. Got it?
I felt so threatened after that. If I was Fujiyama, I would be shitting myself in that scene, because this guy clearly Clearly he's very enthusiastic about his friends. Oh, this movie is amazing. And then we have the scene with the gay waiter, and it's like, could this movie get even worse? You just had to randomly throw in a gay waiter who just so happens to be Asian. Oh my, this movie, if you literally had the stereotypes of a shit movie, this movie ticks all of the boxes, easily. It is just so awful. As soon as they step outside, Fujiyama's right-hand man, Yamashita, basically tries to get his men to kill them, and we get this awful practical effects scene where Samurai Cop slices a dude's arm off with a katana, and you can clearly tell this scene is fake, and just the way the dude dies is so awkward. In fact, the way that every character in this film dies is awkward. It's just so poorly filmed, it's really, really cringeworthy. So he defeats all of them, and then for some reason, Yamashita decides to go ahead and shoot all of his men to maintain the code of silence, and one dude in here, I'm convinced that he wasn't meant to fall over and pretend he was dead in that scene, because he all randomly decides, oh shit, I'm going to pretend I'm being shot at, I'm going to fall over. When clearly, it just doesn't look like in that shot that he's meant to do that, but of course, because they only filmed one take of the scene, they left it in the film. So after that meeting with all the gang Katana members, Samurai Cop decides to go ahead and seduce Jennifer, who is apparently Fujiyama's girlfriend, which I don't understand considering she looks like she's about half of the age of Fujiyama. I am not joking. He decides to seduce her by taking her to his luxury house in the beach, where we can basically just get a lot more awkward dialogue. He has a meal with her and says about how he managed to steal something from another dude's house. Honestly, I didn't even pay attention to the conversation. On all my viewings of this film, when he goes through this conversation about how he stole something for her in a meal, I actually kind of fall asleep. It's honestly that boring. And then they go outside in some of the most 90s swimsuits you will ever see in your lifetime. Like, I may have been only born very late in the 90s, but yeah, those swimsuits there, they definitely wouldn't be acceptable these days. Well, at the same time, the Katana Gang are essentially hunting down all of Samurai Cop's crew, and it's just weird. Like, these scenes couldn't be more different. There's a scene, like, take for example this scene where they go to Frank's house, and this dude here threatens to cut off his dick, but just look at the line, just watch the line that he says.
Hey, take it easy, man. Come on. Talk to me. What do you want?
I can kill you now, or I can relieve you of this gift. This black gift.
What other colour did you expect it to be? Did you expect it to be green? Yellow? Freaking white? You asked, why did you have to specify that it was black? Jesus Christ, this movie is racist. Like, honestly, there are so many racist jokes in this film, and they just don't land. They just come off as very racist. And then literally the next scene, after a torture scene, we get this.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jennifer. Happy birthday to you.
This is why I love Samurai Cop. The tonal shifts in this film are just on another level. They are completely unlike anything you will ever see in your lifetime. I am not joking. They are so strange. In fact, around about earlier or after this scene, there's a sequence where Samurai Cop is being hunted by the Katana Gang in the police station. And he ends up jumping off a building, and the scene cuts to this. What? What? I told you there was awkward cuts, but that is got to be the most awkward cut throughout the entirety of the film. The Katana Gang do get to Samurai Cop's house, but he luckily is able to escape. And then Jennifer goes to work like nothing happened. Like, she was just in danger of being shot to death by a Japanese gang. And she just walks into work completely fine. Like, she's happy with it. And then somehow Fujiyama walks in on them, and it plays that freaking dramatic music. And oh my god. This is getting bad now, isn't it? So the captain decides to go ahead and give permission for Samurai Cop and Frank to go ahead and kill every single member of the Katana gang because movie. Literally because movie. That's the only excuse that they really have for this shit. So they go over to Fujiyama's house where he's holding Jennifer captive, and and just this whole sequence of shooting these dudes like is so cringeworthy. There's one dude in particular, this big dude, whose literal job in the script is probably just generic guy who dies number 237. And it's literally one of the most laughably, awfully acted death scenes in a film. Just watch. It's just awful. And every death scene in the film, as I've mentioned beforehand, is like this. They are all this awful. So essentially they end up cornering Fujiyama. And Frank clearly has a chance in this scene to shoot him. But for some fucked up reason, he alerts Fujiyama to his location. So he fails at being able to hit the shot. Fujiyama then shoots Frank. But luckily Frank was wearing a bulletproof vest. He picks up the gun and he shoots and kills Fujiyama with one shot to the stomach. Okay, he just died from a gunshot to the stomach? So you'd think the movie would end there, but nope, there's still one more dude to capture, and that is Yamashita. So they go up to his house, and it's literally just almost an exact repeat of the scene that we had just had, where they essentially go around his house, they kill all of his henchmen in a shootout, and then they essentially confront him. But rather than have a gunfight, they instead decide to settle their differences in a sword fight, where we finally get to see if Mr. Samurai Cop is actually any good with a fucking samurai. Little hint, he's shit. Literally, the whole scene is just sped up footage, and it's so painfully obvious. It's as if the director was like, just do something. Just do something with the swords, please. I need this scene filmed. And it was just so awful, man. Such an awfully filmed scene. Really, really poorly executed. In fact, as somebody who does martial arts myself, and I have done sword training, this is some of the worst sword choreography I've ever seen. Ever in my lifetime. So of course, predictably, Samurai Cop defeats Yamashita. He is tempted to kill him, but then for some reason Frank randomly shouts at him, "No, Joe, you're a cop!" So he drops the sword, and then Yamashita self-sacrifices himself for the code of honor. And then the movie abruptly cuts to Samurai Cop and Jennifer on the beach, and then the film ends. I am not joking, that is how the film ends. And that, my friends, is Samurai Cop. Samurai Cop is one of the best, worst films I have ever seen. It is just a completely special film. There is not a film that exists out there that is quite like this. You really need to see this film in order to believe it. I'm not going to do a rating for this film because I'd say fucking watch this film anyway. It's amazing. I mean, if you have an Amazon Prime account, this movie is actually on Amazon Prime, and it's on in every region. It isn't like only in the EU or only on US accounts. It's on every single one. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, watch this film if you haven't already. It's awesome. I would easily recommend it, and it's easily one of the best, worst films ever made, and it definitely gets a seal of approval from me. So guys, that is it for my little review of Samurai Cop. Thank you all for watching the video. Of course, you can expect a lot more terrible movies to be coming very soon. I haven't decided on what film I'm going to watch next. I simply chose Samurai Cop because it was already on Amazon Prime, and I have Amazon Prime, so it was just the easiest one for me to watch. I haven't decided which one I'm going to watch next, but when I do, I will let you know on Twitter. And until then, thank you all for watching the video. Hope to see you around for the next part of the series, and if not, I'll see you next time.